Yeah, I would love to.
I'd like to ask you about the level of public discourse that's been going on at debates, at various booing gay soldiers who are serving their country and promote and cheering for death.
No one did that.
Please let the gentleman answer.
That's a
Well, I want to
six-time
correct your media spend.
What's the question?
The question is, what do you think of this level of discourse? Are you concerned that this reflects sort of a nastiness that's going on in our country?
The reactions that you saw at that debate, I don't represent the discourse amongst most of the people in this country. So I would hesitate to say that that represents the discourse. I happen to believe that most people are trying to be civil about the discourse that we need to have. I would promote that because we need to get back to the civil discourse. And unfortunately, many of the people that are fanning and flaming, quite frankly, are the ones who are saying that and aren't necessarily doing anything.
Mr. Kaine, lots of independents, Tea Party supporters, libertarians, they're a little bit skeptical on the Federal Reserve. Being the former Kansas City Board president, if you were in a room just like this with independents or supporters who are a little bit weary on the Federal Reserve, what would you do to convince them that the Fed's policies are good for the country?
I would say that based upon my experience with being on the board of the Fed, that we can fix the Fed. We don't need to end the Fed. If you end the Fed, that's throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's like saying that because we have one airplane crash, we end the air traffic control system. You don't do that, you fix it. Now here's how we fix it. It has a dual mission, which it should not have. It has a dual mission of trying to use its policies to impact unemployment and monetary price stability. It really needs to just focus on monetary price stability, the way it did from 1913 all the way up to the year 2000. It got off track when the federal national debt hit $14 trillion and when foreign countries cooled off on buying our debt. When I was on the board of the Federal Reserve in the 90s, we always had foreign countries that would buy our debt in a heartbeat. Things have changed, so it has forced this Federal Reserve to come up with these so-called creative ways, which I don't agree with, which has damaged the value of the dollar. We need a strong dollar.
One quick follow-up. You talked a lot about the Constitution today at your speech. Can you specifically mention where in the Constitution it states that a private central bank like the Fed can issue America's currency?
It's not in the Constitution. It is in the fact that the United States Congress commissioned the Federal Reserve. It is in that legislation where the Federal Reserve, where the United States Congress had the authority to commission the Federal Reserve. That's what they did.
Do you think it's right for them to print money out of thin air? Really, by them continuously printing the Federal Reserve note, it devalues the American currency. Do you think that's a wise plan for them to do?
No, that's not a wise plan to do. I don't agree with printing money out of thin air. I believe that if we had sound economic policy, they wouldn't be tempted to do that. What I mean by sound economic policy, it starts with making sure that you have policies that would grow this economy. These policies have not grown this economy. It's been anemic. This economy is on life support. Secondly, sound economic policy means don't run up the national debt from 10.4 trillion to 14.7 trillion in 2.5 years. All of that is part of sound economic policy. So let's make sure that we're working on the right problem.
Mr. Kaine, you're in Illinois right now.
Support your economic policy, but don't agree with your social views.
Well, you know, that's a decision that they're going to have to make. And that is, if we don't get this economy growing, it won't matter what I or anybody else feel about some of these other issues. Number one, with most people, is economic growth and jobs. This is why I have put a bold solution on the table. The fact that some people don't agree with my social views, I'm never going to be able to convince them to come over to my side. We are always going to be a nation divided on social views. I simply encourage people, let's all agree on what we need to do to grow this economy and get jobs out there for those 14 million people who do not have jobs.
What do you think resonated the most with your speech with everyone today? What do you think the key thing is that everyone should take away from your message today?
I think the thing that resonated most with the people today was my 999 plan, because it's simple to understand, it is fair, it expands the base, and we've already had an independent analysis done that says it will create a robust growth rate for this economy and create jobs. The engine of economic growth is the business sector. 999 will provide the kind of certainty that the business sector is looking for in order to plan for 3, 5, and 10 years. Right now, they can't plan for 6, 12, or 14 months. That's why this economy is strong.
Just for the
Can
record,
you speak to
when
some
you
of the
go to
issues
Decatur
directly
sentence.
affecting Illinois residents?
Pardon?
Could you speak to some of the Illinois issues affecting residents here?
It's real simple. I happen to believe that we got a global economy, we got a national economy, we got a state economy, we got a local economy, and we got a personal economy. If we don't fix the one up here at the top, which is the national economy, there isn't a hell of a lot we can do about all of those others because it rolls downhill. Our economy is integrated. We live in a global economy. So this is why my focus has been on getting this national economy going, such that businesses that are multinational, businesses that are national, will begin to develop and grow the way they have the ability to.
Do you think there will still be a race in Illinois for the Republican nomination by the time of the Republican primary, which is March 20th?
Yes, and here's why.
Mr. King, can you turn this way while you
Yeah,
speak? I
answer over
apologize.
this
No
way,
one's
please.
being able to see you on
Yes,
television, sir.
I think that the Illinois delegates will still be important because of all of the jockeying that has gone on. What that has done is that it has made some of the states that have traditionally been later in the process much more important. So I think it enhances the impact of Illinois because of all of the jockeying that has gone on.
Can you keep Florida momentum going?
Can I keep Florida momentum going? Yes, and here's why and how. In addition to the momentum we picked up in Florida, next week I'll launch my book tour, where I'm going to be not only campaigning, but also promoting my new book, which is entitled, This is Herman Cain. Because a lot of people have said, well, who is Herman Cain? So we decided to write a book to describe who is Herman Cain. I happen to believe that that momentum is going to continue. But here's the biggest reason that my momentum is going to continue. My message is one of substance and solutions. And when people start talking about how well the speech I gave, they then talk about the solutions that I put on the table. You can't say that about many of the other candidates. So that's why I believe that the momentum will continue.
First word off the top of your head about Rick Perry, about Mr. Perry and Mr. Romney.
Mr. Perry, good governor. Mr. Romney, good hair.
Gingrich, Paul.
Gingrich, brilliant.
Paul?
What about Al Qaeda, sir?
Al Qaeda, I think we're making great strides in helping to bring down Al Qaeda, but the job is not over. Because as you know, it's not just one nucleus anymore that we have to focus on. We also have to focus on homegrown terror, as you have seen with some of the things that have happened lately. So Al Qaeda is going to be with us for a long, long, long
Can you
time.
talk about Al Qaeda's relationship in Libya? Some of the Libyan rebels admittedly have former ties to Al Qaeda. Do you think that's right that NATO, the United States government, are backing former Al Qaeda rebels in Libya?
Obviously not, but I'm sure that there's more to it than that. This is why I said that my whole philosophy is peace through strength and clarity. I think we need some more clarity in that situation in terms of who our friends are and who our enemies are. I would never condone backing or supporting terrorist organizations.
Who do you seek advice
Why
from
do you
on
think you're
foreign
the only
policy?
candidate that came here today?
I have no idea as to why I'm the only candidate that came here today. I wanted to be here because I love being around patriots who care and patriots who are involved and patriots who really want to try and get this country back on the right track.
Who do you
Look,
seek advice
it's hard enough for me to keep up in my schedule without worrying about everybody else's schedule.
A couple
Right?
of
We need to
Illinois
go.
issues. What do you
Sir?
think about